In my spare time, a little bit I have between this job and raising kids, I enjoy entertainment and watching movies and a lot about history in particular. And one of my favorite miniseries I've ever seen was the miniseries on John Adams. And the thing that I took from the series John Adams on HBO was helped me in my job today is that John Adams and Thomas Jefferson are two of the most important people in our history of our country. And even though they had vast political differences, as far as how government should operate in the lives of people, they developed a friendship. They even ran against each other for president twice, I believe. But despite their vast differences on how this country should be governed, they were able to look past their differences and look to what they agreed on and form a great friendship and help develop this country to what it is today. And Mr. President, I think one thing I could say about this room, all 50 of us senators, plus people watching and people here as support staff, want safe schools. There's no ideological difference there. No matter how we vote today, no matter how we voted yesterday, we all want our children to be safe in our schools. I'm a father of 3 and have 3 kids in public schools. I clearly have a vested interest. And nothing more important I'm going to do here in this chamber is to make sure that my children are safe, as well as all the children that I represent and all the children that all of us and other senators represent, that we want to make sure they have a safe environment to learn, to be educated, so they can be productive citizens once they leave our schools. We're all united in that, 100% united in that. So the question is, how do we do that? And, obviously there's a difference of opinion here, which is understandable. My own district, what we're trying to do with this legislation is empower school districts. In my own district, Phillipsburg School District, area school district, which is up near Clearfield County, they have metal detectors. They have armed school resource officers in their schools. That is a decision they made. They went through a very public process to decide how this should happen, and it's happened, and it's worked well. State College School District has resisted that approach. Certainly understandable, and certainly a decision that I respect. Huntington, took some of their dollars that we passed in Act 44 and hired not another guidance counselor, but someone with a sociological background to help the interaction between kids, to better understand some of the differences, so maybe to prevent incidents happening before they do. And so there's different approaches. And what this bill does ultimately is give, again, options to our school districts, our communities, to decide how best to provide that security in their school. I'm not going to tell every school district. I'm not going to tell the city of Philadelphia. I'm not going to tell the city of Pittsburgh. I'm not going to tell other communities, rural communities, how to do this. I let them debate and come together and make that decision. And I think that's what this legislation does, is it gives more options. But my second point, a lot of the debate has been centered around qualifications and training and whether this is sufficient enough. And the interesting thing about holding these jobs is we have to make decisions on areas that we don't have a lot of expertise in. I kind of think of a person better to advise me on this issue than the maker of this bill. I mean, the maker of this bill's history was being an armed security officer, not a security officer, but a federal marshal. His training was to be able to carry a weapon and make sure that he could not only protect himself, but protect the community, and be able to handle that weapon in moments of crisis. And clearly he was trained through that process to make sure that he could do that, and he had a long, distinguished career. So when it comes to whether there is sufficient training, I can't think of anyone better in this room to advise me on what is the proper training for a school security officer. And if he's going to tell me that there's proper training here, that after this training that people will be in position to do good with this, to hopefully protect the kids in our school, then that's good enough for me. And so, Mr. President, I respect the differences, I respect the concerns, because again, there's nothing more important to all of us than the safety of our students and our schools. And I think this bill goes a long way to assisting that, so I'd recommend an affirmative vote.